This is the Underhood inspection of the 2016 Subaru Crosstrek. We checked crash rails up front for core support, not seeing any damage, any evidence of collision there. Likewise, following around the front core support, you can actually see the actual crash rail down in there, not just the frame, the crash support rails on the sides for the, the frame and such, the chassis. That's nice and square and straight, no damage down there. The engine's running, not smelling any leaks, not smelling any fuel, not smelling any coolant. The pancake syrup smell of ethylene glycol or glycerols for antifreeze. Engine bay has not been washed out. I'm pleased to see that. There's just a nice kind of patina of dust in here. It's very pleasing to see as a technician. Let's see. Looking down below for any sort of arrested leaks, stains like that. I do see previously, I had observed, it's very hard to see, but the very bottom of the timing cover at the front on the passenger side is beginning to show signs of weeping. It's very, very common for these engines. And when Subaru switched over to the timing covers, timing chain setups, as opposed to the timing belt and dust covers, the early gens in between 2012 and 2016, they used a particular gasket sealant which didn't last very long. So it's actually impressive that this one made it this far. It's a very, very high failure rate. It's just a seal. It's the gasket. You need to get in here. It is some amount in labor, but you have to get, the shop has to get in here and just reseal that cover. Typically, if there's no other concerns, no other comorbidities, like the oil has damaged something else, or there's phaser sensors that have been contaminated or things like that, you can just get in there and do the timing cover and get back out. So that's not a concern. Looks like a little bit of oil deposition right here on top of the center of the block itself. I could not immediately tell you what that may be. There is a seam that runs there that's for the short block itself, but I'm not going to say that that's a leak there. I've never previously documented a leak there, but let's go ahead and document that, but I'm not ready to state a claim as to what that is. So could very well have just been something spilled on the engine a while back and never cleaned off. Looking back here, down past the subframe, looking at heater core hoses, any damage there, checking for rodent damage, checking battery, checking terminals, nice and clean. Nice to see that. No mechanical damage, no rodent infestation, no chewing, no botched repairs or stains or arrested leaks or any sort of paper breadcrumb of any concerns. To document, I don't see any tears or any sort of mechanical damage to the transmission oil cooler or the transmission blanket shroud itself. Other than the timing cover, small seep on the bottom right of the timing cover, and that observed little kind of stain right there, engine bay comes back with a pass. Thank you. Okay, we're starting our exterior inspection, checking for panel gaps, front left quarter panel to hood, nice and square, bumper cover line to fender, square, A-pillar driver side, square, following down rocker panel, no damage observed to rocker panel like it was improperly lifted, B-pillar driver side, square, C-pillar driver side, square. So we'll look for a witness mark. So if you ever have a trunk hatch replaced or anything like that, you can look up here and see the bolts are on the inside, but you can check and see if this has been moved, and the paint will have been off. So you'll see like again a witness mark. So if it's shifted left or right, it's very common if there's been a someone's rear-ended the vehicle or something like that. It's easy to replace the bumper cover, but it's really hard to kind of get these perfectly lined up. If you were to see that on these, however, that's not a concern because these struts can fail and will be replaced. You're specifically looking at the hinges for the hatch. These will never be, should never be undone and unbolted for the life of the vehicle. So that's what you want to look at there. So not seeing any damage there. Bumper cover in the back. Comes back, we're gonna do our pull, comes back square, nothing broken on that. Left side, center, moving to right side. Nice and solid. Rear bumper cover to rear quarter panel, square. Square on the lights. C-pillar, passenger side, square. No observed damage to rocker panels, improper lifted, anything like that. B pillar, square. A pillar, square. Quarter panel, front passenger to hood, square. Bumper cover pulling on it. I'm gonna check that out. Left side, center, right side. Checking glass. Not seeing any cracks, damages in glass. No damage to the sunroof. No damage to shark fin. No damage to rear glass. Exterior gets a pass. All right, this is our underbody inspection. I apologize, it's a bit bright out here, so the lighting might not be the best, but there's virtually no rust under this vehicle. I did not see any rust on the rear differential, which will be in the video shortly. Apologize, it's on the camera, it's kind of hard to see, but right down there, that's the rear of the transmission. Transmission's very dry. There's no sort of flaking or rusting on the paint, on the pan. The exhaust is actually in really good condition too. The exhaust is one of the first things to check for rust, because since it's just mild steel, it's not painted or anything like that. That's the first thing that's gonna go. Very clean, very rust-free for the age and the mileage and the location. So same thing with the front, no leaks or arrested leaks on the belly pan, no tears, no high centering. You can kind of see all the way back to the transmission pan back there, nice and clean, no concerns there. Driver's side, same deal, no rust, no concerns on those control arms. There's no rust under here. Not seeing any. Very well cared for underneath. Perhaps even washed off. Those end links on the far side, they can flash rust too. CV axles will flash rust as well. I'm not seeing any of that. I'm not seeing any rusting on the struts and the shock towers, anything like that. The control arms right there. Again, I apologize, it's hard to see, but there's no rust on those. Previous model we looked at has significant amounts of rust. So here's a good tell right here. That shiny aluminum cover, you can compare that one to the previous differential. The previous differential, every single bolt on there was severely, significantly rusted. This one looks like it might have just got some dust off the factory floor. So underbody comes back with flying colors. It's very nice to see a vehicle like this with as clean of an underbody in our area. So yes, underbody gets a solid pass. Thank you. Here's a short trunk inspection. Smart, nice to see toilet paper, people thinking ahead. No flood damage, water damage, rodent infestation. The emergency roadside kit is here. It does appear that the tire iron was used at least once, maybe, probably a flat or something like that. You can see where the grease is run down on the scissor jack, so at least one time. I'm not seeing any missing componentry. Everything appears to be in good condition, not seeing any damage. The trunk gets a pass. All the mats are here. There's also extra weather guard style rubber mats for the vehicle as well. It's very nice to see. Implies care and concern for the vehicle. So trunk gets a pass. It's a little difficult to see. We got our struts back there. Tires are in good condition. The metal is in good condition. I'm unable to document any sort of leaks or anything on the shocks, but the high-speed suspension testing did not reveal itself to have any sort of issues with the suspension system. Same deal on the right rear passenger side. Wheels in good health, hasn't been curb checked that I can see. Front right, also same deal, hasn't been curb checked. Nice and clean in terms of damage or anything like that. Kind of sort of see the strut tower in here. You could sometimes see leakage up in here underneath that boot. Not seeing any. By the time you see leaking, you're going to feel that on the road. It's going to be very sloppy and very slushy, and you're going to know right away. Front left, same deal here. The wheel is nice and clear, no rashing, anything like that. And same deal with the strut tower up here. External visual observation doesn't show any sort of leaks or things like that. So the wheels and the struts get a pass. All right, interior video. No unexpected wear and tear on the vehicle. There's a little bit of a kind of crumpling, the foam kind of breaking down the armrest. Very, very common on these vehicles. You see that all makes models across the last 10 years. So easy replacement, not a concern. Not any sort of signs of mistreatment or anything like that. There's a light amount of staining on the passenger seat. Could not tell you how deep that would go. It's staining. Let's see, a little bit of crease and wear just from sitting, very common. No crusties, sticky stuff under the seats back here. All the dash infotainment, everything worked as it should. All the controls worked as they should. Vehicle had no hesitation on jackrabbit starts or wide open throttle. So no concerns from the driver's occupancy seat here to any control issues. It does have an aftermarket radio. It's a Kenwood. I did confirm that the backup camera does work through that radio, but it is an aftermarket radio. Moving to the back seat, same deal. Not seeing any concerns back here. Nice and clean, no damage, rips or tears, missing panels, stickiness on the seats, sticky under the seat belts, like you'd have, kid spills a milkshake or something like that. So nothing that's gonna, bring smells or pests down the line. So interior gets a pass. Thank you. All right, this is the 2016 Subaru Crosstrek. Spokane Preinspection. I apologize for the glare here, but I wanted to grab this kind of right away to give a little demonstration. So car sets with some electrical codes. There's no engine ECM codes, powertrain codes, things like that. But initially this might look like a lot of codes, but if I go in here, the way that Subaru works is if there's a pass code, a rectified code, maybe oftentimes it's a bad dead battery, replaced battery, when a module loses control, it might set codes. In this case, it says engine stall history, but it's a historical code. Okay, let's back out of that. So it's no longer active, it's not pending. So Subaru, the computer was going to claim that at a point in time in its past, there was a problem with maybe a communication issue, but it's no longer present. It would list that as a current code. So we'll go back over here to SRS, safety restraint systems, airbag. So let's see, trouble codes. History. So open and driver's knee airbag. So meaning circuit open, maybe it was disconnected to remove a seat. Maybe that's common to say, like, you leave the key on, and for any reason you got to take the seat out. Maybe, heck, even if you wanted to clean underneath it or something like that, maybe someone detailed the car, or maybe there was a recall on the airbag. Maybe there, in any case, it's historical, meaning that, again, it's recorded that it was present at one time, but it's no longer a current or pending code. These codes can be cleared out as a technician. I'm not going to do that. They do leave a record, breadcrumbs, but with Subarus, whenever you see that, it's not an immediate cause for concern. So all of these are coming back as historical codes. So we're going to go in the body control module here, transponder. So that would be the key. So historical code. Maybe the key died. Maybe you stick the key in the control in the ignition, and the battery's dead in the fob or the key, and it sets a code. You replace the fob key, and then you keep driving. Doesn't clear the code. It's just going to state, again, it's a historical code. It was present at one time. Power steering. This one says ECU fault, communication issue. A lot of these, when I see stuff like this, can just mean bad battery, dead battery, car sat, battery ran down. A lot of times that's what it is. It's not that the battery is disconnected, it's that the battery is constantly drawing milliamps. So if you let the car sit two months, something like that, if the family gets a new car, they let the old car sit, battery runs down, kills the battery, and modules start losing power. That's not always the case, but that's the most common case that I see. Let's back out of here again. Customer did disclose that the tire pressure monitor system has a bad sensor or bad sensors. Very, very common. I would consider that entirely inconsequential. So we got okay, here we go. So we got left rear transmitter, no data. Yep, so history, but then there's a current is left rear. So low battery. So that's definitely not a concern. Easy fix. Telematics, let's go over here. Okay, mute line circuit. So for the radio, maybe for the mute, for the speakers, again, historical code. So none of these, while it might present as good lord, this car has a lot of faults, it's really not. And the dash is not, the instrument cluster is not having any sort of statements or claims of malfunction indicator lamps to make that same claim. The car is not concerned, the computer is not concerned, and there are no current codes in any of these modules. So not any cause for concern here. Again, other than maybe the tire pressure monitoring system, that's a bad sensor in a tire. So this is concludes the computer scan for the 2016 Subaru Crosstrek.